Hey ghouls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and this is the final Summerween vlog of 2023. Today is Wednesday. It's the second to last day of the Summerween readathon and I have had a really good time so far. The stack of books behind me, those are all the books I've read so far. I've technically completed all the prompts and it is Wednesday. We've got one more full day left and I'm kind of thinking I might try and really put the pedal to the metal and read as much horror as I possibly can before this readathon ends, because that stack back there, we have nothing but winners. I have not read a single book that I've hated. There are definitely some that I've liked more than others, and at the end of this vlog I will go over all of them briefly, just from my least favorite to favorite. But yeah, I've read 5 things so far and I don't know, maybe we'll read 1, maybe 2 more things, who can say. So first things first, spooky shirt of the day. You can't really see it, but it's a Midsummer shirt and I got this from Studio House Designs. It's an Instagram shop. This is no longer available because they do like limited edition drops, but they have really nice horror shirts that are very fun and colorful. I just ordered on Friday, they had a Nightmare on Elm Street drop, which I ordered 2 shirts from, and both of them are very bright tie-dyes, so excited about those. But yeah, that's the shirt of the day. My partner is currently making the spooky snack for the readathon because he is without a doubt the better baker, and I just have to figure out what I'm going to pick up next for the readathon. There aren't any challenges, there aren't any prompts because again I've done all of them to really restrict me, so just whatever horror that I feel like reading. So once I get done filming this clip, I'll decide that the night is still young. I have plenty of time to read today and then tomorrow as well. So I am anticipating this is gonna be a whole lot of fun. We'll just see how much horror that I can read in the next 24 hours or so. So welcome to the last Summerween vlog. I hope your Summerween, well, by the time you're watching this, Summerween will have ended. So I hope y'all had a great Summerween. I have been having a great Summerween, and let me know your favorite book down below. I'm gonna go pick out a book and I will talk to you all later. So it is now Saturday. I did end up finishing Dead 11 by Juliano for the last day of the Summerween readathon. This was my Thursday read, and I read it all day long, and I managed to finish it and squeeze in 1 more book for Summerween. It's just been a very busy week for me, so I didn't end up getting to, I filmed some b-roll on Thursday, and that's pretty much it. I didn't sit down and do an update, and Friday, much of the same way, very busy. So I thought, you know, Summerween the last couple of days, and then also this weekend we'll do kind of like a Summerween hangover, because I read some truly great books back there and I want to read more horror. I'm in the mood to read more horror, so I thought we'll just combine the last of Summerween and then just some horror this weekend and call it a day. So that is what we're going to do. But I did finish Dead 11, and I definitely think the choice to use R.L. Stine's blurb was very apt. This definitely felt like, the premise felt like it could have been a Goosebumps book. That was a Goosebumps book for adults, which makes sense because this author, this is his debut. He's written a lot of things that have been very popular on the Reddit No Sleep forum, which in a lot of ways I do feel like a lot of those stories kind of have like the same written like urban legend almost feel feel as some of the Goosebumps books do. So yeah, I thought that was very apt. This is multimedia, so I did end up picking up the audiobook for a good chunk of this. We have chapters that are not just told in like traditional first person format. We have third person as well for another point of view. We also have text message transcripts, audio interview transcripts. So a lot of that made this a very interesting reading experience. We're following our main character Harper as he travels to this very strange island because he thinks that's the last place his sister has been seen, and she has been missing for a while after the death of her young son. Somehow she goes to this island which he's never heard of. They don't have any family connection to, but that's the last place she's been seen. So he goes to this island, tries to figure out what happened to her, and the island is very, very weird. Everyone seems to be very obsessed with the 90s to a very uncanny level, with the things that they wear, the things that they're allowed to do in terms of technology they're allowed to use. So he's trying to figure out maybe what happened to his sister, and then we also get his sister's perspective as well, as she's recently lost her son in a terrible accident, and she finds in his room clues that lead her to this island, which she's very weirded out about, because why would her young son, who's a child, know about this island? And the clue she found after his death. So she thinks maybe his ghost is sending her there. So this, a lot of the time, is it paranormal? Is it not? And I thought that was really good. I don't think of this as a spoiler, so I'll just tell you because it is a 400-page book, and I do not like thrillers that kind of teeter back and forth between. This is paranormal, so there's lots of paranormal aspects in this. I would say this definitely, I feel like, leans more towards horror than thriller, just because of like the pacing and the way we uncover things. More of a mystery than a thriller, but I really enjoyed this, had a lot of fun reading it. So we'll just do a quick little recap of all of the books that I read for Summerween, which, as you can see, is a lot. And I'll go in order of like my least favorite to my most favorite, but for most of these it doesn't really matter because, again, I really enjoyed like what I read. So my least favorite probably was Harrow Lake. I think I would have enjoyed this a whole lot better had I been like our main protagonist's age, just with someone who does read a lot of horror, a lot of thrillers. This never really went where I wanted it to go with the story, and just the characterization I didn't like as much, but it's not a bad book by any means, just we have some real winners here. So this was my least favorite, and again, this is very hard. I'm gonna just go ahead and say The Vegetarian. And this one, I think I wouldn't recommend the audiobook. I didn't care for the audiobook. I thought this was a much better read for me as a physical book. I don't know, again, I don't really have anything bad to say about this one, but we're just gonna put this here because I gotta make some sort of order. I think this one is like very, very character driven, so I could see this one a lot of people maybe would not like it because it feels plotless at times. It's definitely exploring themes and character intentions more than like an action-packed plot. I really enjoyed that. If that doesn't bother you, then you should pick it up, but I would advise you knowing that going into. It's a very short character study. Next up we have The Night Eaters. I could see this series rising higher if I had like the whole series and I read the whole series. It could have potentially been higher on my list, but just because this is the first in the series, I didn't get the whole story arc, and I'm very curious to see how the story is gonna go. And this was a lot of build up. You didn't really get into like the nitty gritty of like the bigger plot. That's why this is going somewhere in the middle, but this is just such a beautiful art style. This comic book team of Marjorie and Samano Takeda are just absolutely wonderful. Monsters is one of my favorite graphic novel series, and that one is like fantasy horror. So if you weren't interested in this, or if you picked this up and are interested in another series, that one is, I think, about like 8-ish volumes so far. So that one's a little bit longer of like an epic fantasy / horror series. Next up we have Dead 11. I don't have anything bad to say about this one either. I had a lot of fun reading it. Definitely going to be thinking about this for a while. Honestly, I would say don't read the Dust Jacket because some of the revelations the characters don't actually make into late in the story, which as a horror book that didn't really bother me. But if you're reading this for like the mystery aspects, don't read the dust jacket, because it does give away things that you don't find out or the characters don't find out until later in the novel. So just know mysterious island, weird retro things happening. Yeah, so I enjoyed this one. Going to be very repetitive, I'm sure. I enjoyed these all. Next up is Maeve Fly by CJ Leeds. And this one was just so funny, so gruesome. It really, really nailed the hilarity, absurdity, and then also gruesomeness that I think I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, like, if you like movies, I'm gonna use some more recent ones. I could probably dig deep and find some other ones that might be better suited to this, but if you liked Barbarian for the gore and the jaw-dropping and like the hilarity, and you know, like there was humor in that movie. It's also very strange, very gory, very horrific. That's a good comp to that in terms of tone of what type of horror. And then also X, if you enjoy, because this does get kind of sexually explicit at times, but also with horror, also with gore. So if you enjoyed either of those, if you want a character that you think Mia Goth might play very well, I think Maeve Fly is that kind of character. Also, I'd say Anya Taylor-Joy I think would make a good Maeve Fly. I think either of those would play this really well. So Maeve Fly had a lot of fun with this. And then last but certainly not least, we have Monstrilio by Gerardo, Samano, Cordova, and this one is the least scary of them all. This one is a literary horror. It's a very sad, it's a beautiful book. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the themes that it had about grief, about love, about the ways that we take care of each other and the ways that we kind of overlook certain things and you know, bend the rules and break the rules to love your loved ones and to love your family no matter what your family looks like. And just this was very sweet. I picked up this cover because this little monster intrigued me, and I didn't expect a book about like a Frankensteinian sort of mother getting a lung to grow into like a replica almost of her son would be as sweet and touching and cute as it was, but it was, and it was just very emotionally impactful. So this one honestly is in my top 10 books of the year so far, and I just really loved it. So I would say if you have to pick up one from my Summerween recommendations, make it be Monstrilio, because I really, really love this book. But that is it for Summerween, but we are not being sad because again, Summerween hangover starts now. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna pick up, surprise, surprise, but I am in between. I think I might pick up this weekend 19 Claws and a Blackbird by Augustina Bazterrica. And then I also have, which I don't know why I completely forgot, this is on my Summerween TBR. I had some Summerween TBR disruptors up there. I did have a lot of those books were not actually on my Summerween TBR, so probably why I forgot to read this one, but A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. I didn't read this for Summerween, so you know, this might be a little bit of a weekend TBR. Yeah, these are maybe my reading plans. Might throw like a thriller in there, something like that. We'll see in the b-roll what I end up picking up, but it's 100 degrees outside. I'm not about that, so we're gonna keep pretending that it is Summerween. We're gonna keep pretending that it's fall and read some good spooky books still. So yes, that's it for this clip. I will check back in a little bit later. Good morning, happy Sunday. Last night I ended up picking up and finishing 19 Claws and a Blackbird, and this is very short. It only took me just over an hour to finish, and I know that because I hopped on the treadmill and just did a little mental health walk while I was reading this, and that's the time period that it ended up being. I started it and finished it on the treadmill. Definitely a very interesting short story collection because there are 20 short stories in here. Very, very short. I did have a lot of fun reading this. A lot of the stories were very short, obviously, because this is a short story collection, but it's also just a very slim little volume. A lot of them felt like concepts that I wish would have been kind of fleshed out more. Some of these, it would be really cool to see the author go back and like flesh out into a full novel, because all of them were very, very distinctive. I was kind of worried when I saw that there were 20 in here, whether or not, like, you know, what's going on with all of them. Maybe they'd be repetitive or something like that, but there are 20 very distinctive stories in here, very interesting ideas. And you know, I did, obviously, as with any short story collection, I enjoyed some more than others. I definitely think my favorites, just listing out a few of them, I really liked Roberto, I really enjoyed Candy Pink, Mary Carminium, and the Solitary ones. Those are some of my favorite ones. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. But just know, going in here, a lot of the short stories, they're like literally a page long. And some of them are longer. It has been some time since I've read Tender is the Flesh, but this definitely, a lot of these stories, I think this is definitely more of like an experimental sort of thing for the author, because some of the stories felt like, yeah, this is the same author, same tone as Tender is the Flesh. Some of them definitely felt more experimental or just a little bit different in style, which was interesting to read. I felt like there were some in here that kind of gave me like Shirley Jackson vibes. So I really enjoyed my time reading it. I know I've said in the past that I don't like short stories, but I think when figuring out and like kind of truly figuring out my taste in books, especially as I get older and I've read more, I do like short story collections all by one author way more than like short story anthologies where there are multiple authors. So definitely want to go on the record, because I feel like I've said before that I don't like short stories. I like short stories a lot more when it's just one author's work. But yeah, very eerie. I really enjoyed reading this, and definitely I'm gonna be picking up pretty much whatever this author puts out, because I've enjoyed both things that I've read by her. I did also pick up A Certain Hunger yesterday. I only got about 20 pages into it. I don't know if I'm in the mood for this at the moment. I'm in the mood for the story, but just the writing style is very, very interesting. It's one that I feel like you do have to kind of read slower, because there's a lot of description, a lot of metaphor, a lot of allegory, stuff like that. So definitely, I feel like at least in the first, maybe it'll get different as, you know, the page count goes on. 20 pages is definitely not enough to say anything definitive about a novel. But I don't know, I'm interested, but it's not like holding my attention in the fact that I've only gotten 20 pages into this, and in that same day I started and finished a book. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to be picking this up today or not. Yeah, we'll just have to see. So that's my reading update. Again, we'll see whether or not I pick up A Certain Hunger or if I'll kind of move towards something else. We'll definitely just have to see. But yeah, it's Sunday. I still have some time today. It's pretty early in the day, so you know, there's still time to pick up a book, and we'll definitely kind of have to see what I pick up. There are some thrillers I could pick up as well, to see if that's kind of something I want to read. That's the reading update, and I will talk to you all later. I did not get any further into A Certain Hunger. Looking forward to picking this up in the reading vlog next week. But as of right now, I'm still only about 20 pages into it. I actually picked up a mystery thriller, The Spare Room, and I'm really liking it so far. I got about 40% of the way through this one. So this actually takes place in the middle of COVID. So if you don't want to read about self-isolation, if you don't want to read about like 2020 and everything, don't pick this book up because that's when it takes place and it's very prevalent. It sets up why the main character is in the situation that she is in, but we're following our main character. Her name is Kelly. She is really struggling with her fiance. They live in a very small Philadelphia apartment. They were going to get married. COVID happened. They're really struggling with their relationship. They're kind of at a breaking point, and she gets an invitation from a person she went to high school with, had recently reconnected with, and she got an invitation from that friend to come spend an indeterminate amount of time with her and her husband in their really nice DC suburbs home, just while she gets back on her feet, maybe has some distance from her fiance, try and figure out that relationship. So she goes there. While Kelly's there, she actually kind of gets entangled with both the husband and the wife in a kind of threesome open relationship situation, and so that's happening and she's trying to figure that out. But then she realizes the last woman that these two invited into their relationship in such a way has mysteriously gone missing. So the blurb on this one says, staying with a friend and her husband is sexier and deadlier than anyone could have imagined in this provocative domestic suspense novel, and I'm really enjoying it. Normally I don't read a lot of books with any sort of spice in them. I don't think I've ever read a thriller. I take that back. Ashley Winstead had a thriller that kind of had that same element. Don't normally read books like this. Don't normally read a lot of romantic heavy books in general unless it's fantasy romance. Now that I'm thinking on it, I did really enjoy Not In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, but the other one by Ashley Winstead that I'm forgetting the name of right now. That one had a lot of both romantic and then just like it was a sexual cult subplot, so that had a lot of that in there and I really enjoyed that one. I'm really enjoying this one. Those interpersonal relationship dynamics I think actually work really well, and I'm a character driven reader, so that like very complex relationships between these three people in this home. They're isolated because of COVID. They're all staying in this house, locked up with each other. That's adding a very interesting element for me in this mystery. So I'm enjoying this, but I am going to be wrapping up the last of my Summerween / Summerween hangover vlog. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel for all the cozy gaming and reading content. It is spooky season all year long around here, and stay safe, stay spooky, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!